Bonjour everyone, I am Anne-Lise Cailliez and welcome to Parlez-vous CEO, where we ditch the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, hello. Welcome to another episode of Parlez-vous CEO. My name is Anne-Lise Cailliez and I am your host. For those who are just joining the podcast, we're Brandora and we specialize in helping real estate companies scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in receiving a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs. We read all our DMs. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Meredith Gruszka. Am I saying that right?
You are. I'm impressed. Yeah.
Welcome to Parlez-vous CEO, Meredith. I'm so happy to have you here and share your story with our audience. I think you have a very unique profile and I can't wait for you to tell us a bit more about your background. In your own words, Meredith, would you introduce yourself to our listeners who are discovering you for the first time?
Like you said, my name is Meredith Gruszka. I live in Venice, California. So I live right by the beach. I've been here about 10 years and that's just about when my real estate journey started, which we'll get into. But yeah, have a beautiful little son named Geffen. And is there anything else you want to know about me, like on a personal level right now? Or
what do you feel comfortable sharing with our audience? I mean, it's really up to you. I have read your bio. I love it. I know I would want to know more about how you transitioned to your previous roles and what you did before to real estate.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So I was born and raised in Michigan. I went to Michigan State University where I studied apparel and textiles. And I always dreamed of working in the fashion industry since I was little. Like I knew that that is what I was going to do. And when I want something, I make it happen. That's my personality. So right after college, during college, the summer between my junior and senior year, I got an internship at Elle magazine. I had applied for hundreds of internships that summer. And I really wanted to be at a magazine. Ideally, that was my dream job. And Elle was actually the last place I contacted. I was just either not getting responses or getting no's or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, this is my last effort. And I emailed them and they emailed me right back. And they're like, when can you be here? So I flew out the next week to New York and met with the senior accessories editor and his assistant, and they hired me. And so I went back to Michigan, went back to New York the next week. My mom drove me out there. That was a fun little road trip. And with all my stuff, we packed the car. I got an apartment in Brooklyn. And yeah, I lived there for the summer and I probably worked 90 hours a week for free at the magazine, which back then you could do. I think they don't allow that anymore. Like overworking and not paying people. But it was so fun. I loved it. I really, really loved it. And I had to go back to Michigan after the summer was over, unfortunately, to finish my senior year. I didn't want to leave. But then my grandfather lived in New York my whole life. So I grew up going there. So it wasn't like this crazy transition in terms of going from Michigan to a big city. But so I knew I always wanted to live in New York. So after I graduated, I saved up enough money. I waitressed the summer after my senior year, I guess, which I had never done. I had never waitressed before, but that was actually really fun too. And I saved all my money. And then my mom drove me back to New York. I didn't have a job lined up. I had maybe one interview lined up and I didn't get that job. And I just started waitressing when I got to New York again, too, which was a completely different experience than waitressing in Michigan. It's very intense. You have to take a test at restaurants in New York to get hired, which is crazy. Fun story. I ended up at this French restaurant. And I spoke just enough French when the owner came in that I was able to charm my way into getting that job. I ended up not having to take the test, which was great. And so I got hired. And then 2 weeks later, I had not 2 weeks, maybe a month, actually. I had met with a recruiter out in New York to try to help me find a job because I didn't move to New York to be a waitress. That was not my goal. And so she called me on a Friday and she's like, there's a job at Tommy Hilfiger. as an assistant to the executive vice president. If you want it, you can start Monday. I was like, great, sounds good. And that was a temporary position. I was only supposed to be there for like a couple months, I think. And then that branch of the department at Tommy that I was supporting the executive with folded. And then I was like going to be out of a job again. But then they put me with 3 other senior vice presidents to be their assistant. So I took that job, and that was supposed to be temporary. But then I negotiated my way into having a full-time job. So I was with them for about a year. One of the executives was the head of marketing. And so I really didn't want to be an assistant for much longer. So I asked her if I could join the marketing department. And she said yes, because there was a national marketing coordinator position opening. So she put me in that position. And, I had never been an assistant before. I had never been in marketing before. That was not really my background. I can remember my first day at Tommy, backing up to when my very first day. They basically said, here's your computer, good luck. And I was like, So I just figured it out. I think, I'll come back to that, but life is really about sinking or swimming, and I chose to swim. So same thing. I got put in the marketing department, really didn't have a lot of experience, but I had a really, really good mentor. She was the marketing manager, and she trained me and spent a lot of time with me, which was great. So I was in that position for probably about 3 or 4 years, I think. And then I was wanting to move on. So something in corporate that, if you have ever worked in a corporate environment, you kind of have to jump between companies to get promotions. It's not super common to get a promotion within the same company, which is kind of odd because it used to be that way and it's just not that way anymore. So I started interviewing other places, and I lived in New York for about 5 years. And during that time, I had come out to LA to visit a friend. And the first place she took me was Venice Beach. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. The weather, obviously we have the endless summer here, if you've been to LA, and it's just so beautiful. And I thought, wow, I would really love to live here. So when I was kind of ready to transition out of Tommy, I started interviewing simultaneously, or applying for jobs in LA and New York at the same time. I'm like, well, whatever happens first. And I probably applied for 100 jobs in New York. I was relentless, and I would get to the end round, go multiple rounds. Chanel was recruiting me. Brunello Cucinelli. I was Jimmy Choo. I was interviewing at all these amazing companies that I would love to work at. And I would get to the end where I'm about to meet with the president, and they were like, yeah, sorry, we went with someone else. It would be between me and someone else. So I was like, the universe is telling me to leave New York. And then I was here for a wedding in LA, and I got an interview at BCBG or Leger with Max Azria. And I went in, it was a Friday again. And I was like, listen, I got to give my 2 weeks. I have another job offer, which I did, but a company I didn't really want to work with. And I need an answer by Monday. And so she's like, okay. And I got the job as a marketing manager at BCBG. And I flew back to New York, put my 2 weeks in, bought a one-way ticket to LA, packed my suitcases, and I moved to LA. And I was living in the Hollywood Hills at the time. And then I was with BCBG, and they had their struggles. I was only there for about 8 months because the company was getting bought out by Guggenheim Partners, and it was just kind of a little unstable. But in that 8 months period of time, I met Tammy Pardee, who I work with now, who is one of the top brokers in LA. And I was producing photo shoots for BCBG featuring women in business and women in power. And she had been nominated for our online magazine at the time to be featured. So I was the one who coordinated the whole photo shoot and, helped her be comfortable and style her and all that stuff. So I met her. We had a great connection. And when I realized BCBG was kind of not going to work out so well, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, was like, you know what? You're wasting your time in fashion. You're so overworked and underpaid. You should be in real estate. You would kill it. And I was like, well, I just met Tammy Pardee. She's one of the top brokers in LA. I could probably pick her brain. Because I didn't know what escrow was. I've always been interested in real estate and architecture and design. I have always loved it. I always went to open houses growing up just for fun. I always loved it, but I didn't know anything about real estate. So I emailed her and Sam, her right hand, asking for an informational interview. And they were like, yeah, come in, blah, blah, blah. So I come into the office. Tammy wasn't there. The lady that was doing the hiring at the time was there. And she's like, Tammy got pulled into a meeting, but she wanted to tell me that she wants to offer you a job. I was like, okay, great. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. So I started doing her marketing and events at Party. And so I kind of came in through the back door, and it became very obvious pretty quickly that like she thought I should be an agent. I wanted to be an agent. And then I worked for her for 2 years as like a marketing manager. And then I ended up being her showing agent. So I was showing like over 8 houses a day for about a year. And that was when I got like the best amount of experience at that time, because I mean, showing people and meeting people is obviously a lot of the job, and being able to really sell the house that you're in is also like, yeah, that's the job too. So it was really, really good experience because I met so many people and just got so much experience actually selling the house in person, because all the back end work and contracts obviously is very important too, but being client facing is like the thing. So I was working for Tammy for a couple years at that point, and then I had my son, and then the pandemic happened. So I kind of went on hiatus for a little while because I had a baby and I wanted to be home with him for a little bit. And then the pandemic happened, and then I realized like I am not a stay-at-home mom. I love being a mom more than anything, but I am not a stay-at-home mom, especially after the pandemic. So I called Tammy. I was like, I really want to come back and be an agent. And she's like, yes. She started crying. She's like, yeah, of course. Yes. And so I came back to Party in January of 2021 as an agent. And I didn't have really any sphere of business because I hadn't really I wasn't an agent on my own before. And so I just started picking up the phone and taking leads and sitting open houses and just talking to everyone. And I ended up selling 30 million my first year. So I was like, okay, I guess this is great. I found my niche. I mean, I always said when I was working in corporate that I wish I had a job where I just talk to people all day, because I'm maybe not so obviously, but I think I'm very extroverted. I love people. I love being out and talking to different people, and I get energy from other people. I truly am an extrovert. So going from sitting in a cubicle and a desk to being able to be an agent full time was just like my dream job. And I think that's part of one of the reasons why I became very successful at it, because I really truly love it. And it's very genuine. It's coming from a very genuine place. So yeah, I became one of the top producing agents in the company, pretty much right away. And like I said, I was just picking up the phone, taking leads, and that kind of just mushroomed into building my business. I started getting referrals from clients right away. And so yeah, in the last 4 years, I would say I've sold almost 125 million. I average around 20 to 25 transactions a year. Definitely a busy agent, and I absolutely love it. I really, really do. I love what I do. I'm excited to wake up in the morning. There's not a day that is the same. So every day brings its own challenges for joy and happiness. And you get to work with buyers buying their first home or buying a new home, and sellers who are moving on to a chapter of their life. So it's really interesting.
And so I have a question about the second chapter at Party, the time when you decided to go back to real estate. How was it to restart? I mean, the $1 million question, or the $30 million question, is how did you, in the first year you came back, how did you, just get back on the horse and found your new leads, your new buyers, or your new sellers? How did you go back when you decided to return to Party?
Yeah, I mean, I was just super motivated. Like I said, I had my son, and I had been home with him for a while, and then the pandemic happened. So it was almost like being let out of my cage. I was just like so motivated. I was like, yes, I'm back in the office and I'm around people. And we're such a tight knit group of people too at Party, the company and the agents. We're like family. So it was just like coming home. It was great. But I was super motivated to succeed. I was at a point in my life where I wasn't in my 20s anymore. I was, in my early 30s, and I was really ready to reach my potential. I really felt, as much as I had accomplished in the past professionally, like I moved to New York, and I never quite felt like I reached my potential until I came back to Party. And that was really what was motivating me. I'm a naturally very ambitious person, but I was just super, super motivated. Like I was just really ready for it. And I just hustled. And I really believe in sales. Well, and really anything in life, the fortune is in the follow-up. Not only, first of all, you have to ask. if you don't ask, you're never going to know. So, and sometimes if you ask a few times, the answer will end up being yes. I always say, like, beat that dead horse until it gets back up and walks again. A lead is not dead unless the person's really dead. So yeah, that was kind of my approach. I was really relentless and it worked.
And did you have a methodology? So follow up, absolutely, I'm with you. I love the idea of thinking until it's a no, it's not a no.
Right.
Also, if you ask again, it might switch to a yes, so might as well try. When you restarted, did you have a strategy on the type of buyers or sellers you wanted to work with, or about a specific location, specific type of properties you wanted to work on? Or did you just decide, I'm going to speak to as many people as I can, and I'm just going to hustle hard until something happens?
I just hustled hard until something happened. I would have sold a shoebox if that's what closed it. Excuse me. It could have been, I didn't pigeonhole myself into anything, especially when you're first starting and you're building your business. I mean, a lot of agents think, well, I'm just going to focus on one area, which is definitely a strategy and an approach. And even at Pardi, like, we're the number one team on the west side of LA. I've sold in every neighborhood of LA, but our bread and butter is, I would say, on the west side of LA, Malibu, Santa Monica, Vista, Venice, Marina. So West LA. And so, no, I didn't pigeonhole myself at all. And I do think that people's energies attract each other's. I tended to attract first-time home buyers in the beginning because that was my age group. It still kind of is, very much so. But I did attract a lot of first-time home buyers, and that was really fun and exciting for me. I still work with a lot of first-time home buyers because it's just like the biggest purchase they're ever going to make in their life. And it's super exciting. And I'm a celebrator, so I love that aspect of it, is just like celebrating a new beginning and a really big purchase and an exciting new chapter in their lives. And then as I got more, obviously you meet all types of people. So I also in my first year worked with people that were buying their second home or their third home or selling their first home and buying their second, so it's a mixed bag.
And do you remember your first deal?
I do. Actually, this is crazy. I went from 0 to 60. I went from not having sold a house to selling 2 at the same time. So I had 2 deals running simultaneously. So they were both, and they closed like really, really congruently. Yeah, I do. One was with someone that I met at an open house. She just walked into the house and we had a great connection. And that's what this is really about, is building relationships and connections. And so she ended up buying a house in Highland Park. I used to live in Highland Park too, so I knew the area very well. And then at the same time, I helped a friend of a friend buy her house in Marina Del Rey. And it was a great experience. And I mean, I am used to figuring things out as I go, having very little knowledge beforehand. So I'm able to, I studied the contracts before I went into real estate too. I printed all of them out. Like when I first started at Pardi, I printed out all of the contracts and pretty much memorized them. That's kind of how my brain works. So I was able to explain everything pretty quickly to people, to buyer. And even, again, this is how my brain works. Like, I can kind of read something and explain it as I'm reading it as I go. So that's just a skill set, I guess, that I have. But they were both successful sales. They both still own the house. They were happy. I've never had a buyer not be happy they didn't buy the house. That's for sure.
Oh, those are great first stories. And about your current business development. So what are your strategies right now to get clients? And I have a little person just walking right in front, my assistant, one of my assistants.
That's so cute.
So about business dev, how do you get new clients at the moment? Is it through open houses? Like, how have you built your portfolio of clients and referrals? And
Yeah. So there's a few different ways. So Pardi Properties as a brokerage does a lot of lead generation. We've also opened our broker and CEO, Tammy Pardi, started the company 20 years ago. And so, with time, she's of course built this business, and she's really a branding and marketing expert. So she's created, and that's how I was so attracted to Tammy in the beginning too, because my background was in marketing and branding. So she just has this very specific look. If you look at our website, if you look at our signage, like, it is very apparent that it's different than other real estate brokerages. So I was very attracted to that. And so she's established a huge presence in the marketplace. And like I said, we're the number one team in terms of sales volume. On the West Side, we close as a team over 365 deals a year. So we're essentially selling one house a day. And so through that, we do a lot of Tammy does a lot of lead generation. So we are one of Zillow's top premier partners. So we get a lot of buyers through Zillow. Definitely open houses. Open houses are great. I look at it as, every person that walks in is a potential client. Even if it's a neighbor, it's great to meet the neighbors. They can be sellers in the future, or maybe they know someone who wants to buy. So that's definitely an amazing opportunity for lead generation and business development. And then for me personally, I do get a lot of referrals. So my business has kind of just mushroomed itself, which is the idea, like that's what you want to have happen. But I'm still constantly following up with old leads and even people. I'm, of course, constantly staying in touch with my past clients too. I'm friends with a lot of them now. I see them on a regular basis, which is so nice. That's another nice part of the business. I made some really good friends through they were my clients and now we're really good friends. So that's fun too. But yeah, really just staying on top of everything and following. I can't emphasize enough how important following up is and just putting yourself out there and asking for the business. If you hustle and you put the work in, I think that's true in any business, it's going to work. But most people don't do that.
Absolutely. And so you are an extrovert, so I can see very well how you can connect with your clients easily. Do you think someone who is introvert has a chance doing residential real estate, or would you say maybe not for you?
Well, that depends. I don't know what it's like to be an introvert. So I can't say for sure. I have introverted clients who I'm like, and I come in and I'm like this clown and they end up hiring me and I'm like, oh my God, like our personalities are so different. Because sometimes, people attract who they are. But to answer your question, yeah, I think like, listen, there's not one way to skin a cat, thinking about your cat right now. So there's definitely different types of salespeople. Like, I don't think every agent is an extrovert. I will say the majority are. Like, the top agents that I know that are really doing the business that I've done deals with and that, I meet are pretty extroverted, honestly. And again, I'm not an introvert, so I can't say for sure, but I can imagine that if you are, it could be uncomfortable to have to talk to people all day and like very draining because like I said, I get my energy from other people. If I'm alone, I'm like sleeping, like I'm just bored and tired. But yeah, I think introverts probably would get really drained from it, but
I agree. I think it would be hard to be there are agents that are successful and that are introvert, but I think that would make their life definitely a bit more challenging than if it comes like for you very naturally. So going back to your background in marketing, because this is really where we studied marketing in fashion. So in your opinion, in real estate, what are your favorite marketing platforms or tactics? And the one where you think that just doesn't work and you have horror stories with marketing that went wrong?
So we have a marketing department in-house at Pardee, which is incredible. They're so awesome. I think so we do a lot of different types of marketing at Pardee specifically, which is we still do direct mail. So we do mailers to all of the neighborhoods that we serve. And so people are consistently getting our mailers and our newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out every Friday. And that's actually, we get a lot of feedback that that's really popular and people look forward to our newsletter, which is great. That makes me happy to hear. And then, of course, we do a ton of digital marketing. So a lot of these marketing platforms are pay-to-play arenas. And so our marketing spend is over $2.2 million a year, which no other brokerage does. So that allows us to put a lot back into our marketing and our business. I think social media is a great source of branding. Like I do know some agents that do a lot of lead generation through Instagram or Facebook. I personally haven't had that experience. I use my own Instagram as more of just like a branding tool and like keeping people updated with what I'm doing. But I truly think that I think mailers are very effective, which seems like an old school method, but I had done mailers in the past before too, and I got a couple listings from them. So I know it works. And then another form of marketing is door knocking. A lot of agents will do that. And I know a ton of agents that built their entire business on door knocking, which is incredible. Because door knocking is not for the faint of heart. As much as I'm an extrovert, I've done it and it makes me nervous. And it's like, if I'm nervous, it's bad. So,
no, absolutely. It's a different beast. For sure. I think mailers can definitely work if they're done well, if they're done elegantly with the right information at the right time. Otherwise, it can just be wasted energy, but done well, absolutely. It can
100%.
definitely work.
Yes.
And so if you had a magic wand to solve one of the biggest challenge that you have with your career, with your business right now, what would it be?
I would clone myself. No, honestly, I probably would and I don't mean that because I'm like so amazing. It's just, I think that I do operate on a high level and I'm like very high functioning. And no, I shouldn't say this. This sounds so conceited, honestly. But I know how to I know all the contracts. I know how the whole kit and caboodle works. So it would be great. Yeah, I guess if I could clone myself, I would, just because then I'd have two of me who can be client facing and out there and taking the phone calls, which is what I'm doing every day. And then also being able to do all the back end work. I do have an amazing assistant. She's awesome. That helps me with all the back end and coordination. And I'm working on making her into me.
I love it.
She's so awesome. Yeah.
I don't think that sounds conceited at all. I think that's a great answer, actually. And Meredith, what's your favorite thing about real estate?
Probably just meeting new people every day. I really, really enjoy, even this, it's so fun. Like I said, I get a lot of energy from it. I love meeting different personalities, and some people can be really difficult, but that's also exciting and interesting to me. I think, just meeting all the different types of people that are out there and all the different personalities, it's really fascinating. The psychology of it is really, really fascinating. And then, of course, I really love helping people. I'm definitely a nurturer. So, I think that's why women do so well in real estate too, because that motherly instinct comes into play and we're very nurturing. And then women, we get stuff done. So I think that is a perfect combination. And yeah, I love seeing people happy. It's so great. It's someone moving into their first home or purchasing their first home or, selling a home so that they can retire and move to the mountains or whatever it is. It's it's really cool to be part of that journey with them.
It is cool. And it's fun to watch you loving it too.
Thank you.
And do you have any influencers or role models or someone online where you obsess about their content? Anybody that you look up to and you wish you could invite over for dinner and have a one-on-one with?
Oh my God, yes, I do. I love Kate Hudson, the actress. I always say I want to be her friend. I know she lives in LA. I'm just waiting to meet her. But she's so cute and so bubbly and so fun and just has such obviously I don't know her personally, but she seems just so energetic and sweet and cool. And, she's a mom and she's super successful and seems to really love her family. So yeah, I would probably choose her.
Nice. And so speaking of an industry like real estate, that's 24/7. Right?
Yeah.
Especially when you work in residential. How do you keep a type of work-life harmony, and you also have a kid? How do you balance it all? Keeping sane with such a competitive industry where you have to be on all the time?
Yeah, it's not easy. It really isn't. I'm I don't know how I do it. Well, how do I do it?
Are you a 4 a.m. kind of person?
My God, no. I wish I would be a monster. If I was, I can't even imagine. A monster in a good way. No, I'm actually a sleepyhead, but now I wake up early because I have a child and I'm getting older. So as you get older, you start waking up early. It's weird. But no, I don't wake up at 4 a.m., but I'm highly efficient with the way I work. So even when I was working in corporate marketing, I would be done with what I needed to do that day, like by noon or by like 1 o'clock, but I stayed and worked very late hours because I just kept taking more on. And then other people would stay late. So I felt, and I was like trying to work my way up. So I just kind of stayed. Even though I was pretty much done halfway through the day. So I will say, like, I'm really good at managing my time. I run a really, really tight ship. And I also put some boundaries in place. Like when I first started, I would take calls at 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I try not to do that anymore just because after having a child, like it is important to me to spend time with my son. And I do have a husband who's an amazing father and helps me too. So he's with him on Sundays when I'm sitting open houses. And we balance between the two of us, which is great. And so between the two of us, we make it work. We don't have any family here. We don't have any help. So we're just out here surviving. But yeah, it's about time management. And I would say my best advice is to eventually, I don't really think you can do this in the beginning so much. And I hate to say it, but I've been doing this long enough at this point that I'm able to put some boundaries in place. And like the evening calls, like, of course, if I have to, I will. Of course, I'm not going to tell someone like, no, sorry, I can't talk. But I find that most things can be taken care of at normal hours. Mm-hmm. And I'm super responsive and I'm super on top of stuff. So it kind of just works itself out.
Nice. And what are your secrets around time management?
Oh my God, what is it? Well, let me think about that. Well, I have an assistant who is a lifesaver. I would not be able to do what I do without her. So that is one secret. I do have help. I got an assistant pretty early on in my career just to leverage myself to be able to do more business because of course there's a limit to what one person can do. So I give a lot of credit to her for sure. What is my secret? I mean, just really being hyper focused. So I come to the office every day. We don't have to. A lot of people work from home and that's how they can be more productive. For me, that's not productive. If I'm home, I'm home. Like I just am relaxing, chilling, spending time with family. And so I come to the office every day and I feel like that structure helps me focus too. So I'm at my computer, I'm answering emails as they come in and taking calls simultaneously, multitasking, of course. And I think not that men can't do this too. Men are fantastic, but women are very good multitaskers naturally, in my opinion. So, but yeah, that's I don't think there's like this profound secret that I'm keeping from the world.
I mean, I think it's pretty potent what you said about hiring the help,
Yes.
right help right away, because a lot of people want to do everything themselves and have trouble delegating. So it's a good piece of advice.
You just made a really good point though. I think a lot of people don't put the time into training their assistants well either, which is surely going to backfire on you and I learned this from not my first, but one of my bosses at Tommy, the head of marketing that I told you about, who really spent a lot of time training me. I learned so much from her, not only like with the job that I was doing at the time, but how to train people in the future. So I do think I spent a lot of time training. Well, I spent a lot of time training my first assistant and then she's on maternity leave. So I have someone else new now. And then hopefully I'll have both of them back or my other one back too soon. But I really put in the hours and the time training them very, very well and how I want things done and how I do them because it's just going to benefit me in the long run. Like training someone in the beginning can be painful because you're like, it's work. It's another job.
It is.
Yeah, but it's so important because it really, really benefits you in the end and benefits them in the end too. So it's a win for everybody. So I guess if you can count that as a secret, I guess I do really put in the time training my assistants very, very well. And then we can operate on a very high level.
Absolutely. I really believe in delegating what's not in your genius zone so that you can really focus on what you do best, which is, talking to clients. And so many things, for so many jobs, so many things can be delegated. But it's something that drives me crazy when I'm coaching women entrepreneurs when they think they have to do it all and they cannot grow, they cannot scale because they're not surrendering control. And yes, it is painful to train someone in the beginning. It is, but it's so worth it. And it's also nice to have a team that you can rely on. I love the team spirit. It's so much more fun as a group.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's great. I couldn't agree with you more. I think putting that time in and creating that group energy, that team energy is so fun. And like I said, mutually beneficial. And the worst thing you can do is to try to do everything. I mean, and it's really natural to want to do that when you are high functioning and you can take on a lot, but there will be a limit to what you can do. You have to leverage yourself at some point. And I had to learn that too, of letting go of things, because I like things done the way I like them, and I know how they should be done. But surrendering that control also feels really good for me. So then I can do more.
Absolutely. And Meredith, if you were meeting yourself when you were 20, what piece of advice would you give to yourself?
My God, I love this question. Well, I would have told myself to do exactly what I did, which is ask for the business. Don't take no for an answer, at least not right away. I mean, sometimes the answer is no, and that's fine. Yeah, just put yourself in a position to be successful and to have opportunities. I think a lot of people don't explore these opportunities that if they just asked, they would probably get them. You know, like my internship, my job, like I showed up, I asked for it, and I was there, and I was willing to put in the work. And so my best advice to my 20-year-old self and to anyone out there is just put yourself in the position. It's not luck. It's hard work. It's dedication. It's making sacrifices. If it were easy, everyone would do it. You are going to hear no a lot. You are going to get rejected, and you have to keep moving on, because otherwise you're just going to get stuck. You know, I my batting average is pretty high, but I do hear the word no sometimes, and I just move on. Move on to the next.
You don't get stuck on it.
Right.
No, absolutely. I think it's so important, because it's the fear of rejection, right, that paralyzes people from doing the things they really want to do. And that's such a shame. And I don't think you could necessarily completely overcome the fear of rejection. Nobody likes to be rejected,
Right.
but putting in the reps, the more you do it, the less you care, because also, you know, your pipeline is full. So if it's a no, it's getting you closer to a yes anyway. I completely agree with you. And so, Meredith, if you had some golden nuggets of wisdom to share with our audience, what would you like to share?
Oh my goodness. You're asking really good questions. I'm like, wow, I have to think about this. Golden nuggets. Well, I think I kind of already touched on it, like just working hard, putting yourself out there. You know, like I said, with my internship story, I had to apply to like 50 to get my one. You know, it's a numbers game, and sales is a numbers game. You have to talk to a lot of people to get that one. And then that one turns into two, and which turns into three. So it is a numbers game. So my golden nugget would be to just go for what you want, find your passion, and follow that, because then you can put all of your energy into it as well. As it pertains to real estate, if you want to work in the fashion industry, if you want to be a doctor, you know, you have to really go for it and focus your attention and just go all in.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure our audience will also love this. Is such a good piece of advice. And Meredith, what's coming up next for you?
Well, I'm at a place in my life where, you know, my business is great. I'm so grateful for it. Tammy has been so amazing to me. She's really helped me build my business as well. This brokerage, Party Properties, has really, really helped me. I certainly don't take all the credit. They gave me the platform to succeed. And that goes back to what I said. I just took the opportunity and went with it. So my party definitely gave me an abundance of opportunity, and I'm so, so grateful for that. So I'm continuing to build my business, taking on as many clients as I can and that I meet. And I currently have about 10 listings, which is great.
Nice.
So, and I'm always looking for new business and new buyers. So my goal is to really just keep growing my business and leveraging myself and growing my team. And I live in Venice. I work in Venice. I love it here. I never want to live anywhere else. I love it here. I love being by the beach and the lifestyle. So yeah, just kind of continuing to grow my business and keep doing what I've been doing.
That's awesome. And where can people find you, Meredith?
So you can find me on Instagram at Meredith Gruszka or at partyproperties.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Meredith. It was such a pleasure to have you today on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here on Parlez-vous CEO and sharing your story. And that wraps up today's episode. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I can't wait to join you again next week.
Thanks for listening to Parlez-vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. and connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-vous CEO. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.